tell you, I was once in Monroe. I spent a few summers in Monroe. And once I was there, it was the Satmar Rebbe's yard site. Monroe, as you know, is the shtetl of Kiryas Yael. The Satmar Hasidim are there. The Satmar Rebbe is buried there. And I was in a bungalow colony nearby with Rav Bruce, Zayin Gesund from Beis HaTalmud. And it was the night of the Rebbe's yard site. And we were standing together and talking, and a few Hasidim came over, and they told a few stories about the Rebbe. On the yard site, so they tell over stories about the Rebbe. So one of the stories they were telling about the great humility of the Satmar Rebbe. And rather, there was another story which I can share with you. You know, Rav Bruce is in Beis HaTalmud. So they told him over a story the Satmar Rebbe once met Rebbe Aryeh Malin, who was also Rosh Yeshiva earlier in Beis HaTalmud. So the Satmar Rebbe asked Rebbe Aryeh Malin, he said he has a difficulty with Rashi. Rashi says when Yaakov sends Yehuda ahead of him, so he sent him up to Mitzrayim. It says to make a Beis HaTalmud. That's what Rashi says. He sent him ahead to make a Beis HaTalmud ahead of him in Mitzrayim. So the Satmar Rebbe asked Rebbe Aryeh Malin, how do you know he went to make Beis HaTalmud? Maybe he went to make Mir, or Chaim Berlin, or Telz. I know Beis HaTalmud. So he said it always bothered him, and now he knows the teretz. He sees how slow they learn in Beis HaTalmud. He says if he made a yeshiva, they were learning Eglah Harufa when Yosef was kidnapped. And 22 years later, they're still learning Eglah Harufa. He said it could only be in Beis HaTalmud. That's what he said. I think. Anyway, they told over a second mice. The second mice that he told over, they were talking about the humility of the Satmar Rebbe. That the Satmar Rebbe once got up to speak at a Pidyon Haben. So he gets up to speak at the Pidyon Haben, and it was the parsha where Yitzchak was born. So he gets up to speak, and he says, he's going to declare a shaila, the following shaila. Did Avraham make a Pidyon Haben for Yitzchak? Yitzchak was a Bechar Le'imai. So did Avraham make a Pidyon Haben for Yitzchak? This is the question he posed. So we know Avraham kept Kol HaTorah before it was given. So a Schneider, he said, a tailor got up from the audience, and he interrupted the Rebbe's speech. He said, what do you mean? The Gemara says, the Gemara says that Avraham was a Kayin. The Gemara says the Kuna was taken away from Shem, and it was given to Avraham, so Avraham was a Kayin. So he said, the Satmar Rebbe heard that, he said, you're right, and he sat down, he didn't say a speech. So they wanted to show the humility of the Satmar Rebbe, that here, so Schneider, somebody out in the audience, asked him a kash, he said, you're right, in the end of the speech. That was So when they finished, so Rav Bruce turns to me, I see he's deep in thought. Why say to be deep in thought about this? So Rav Bruce says he's wondering if they would have let the Satmar Rebbe speak, what he would have said. What Shiloh would have he had if Avraham made it? Let's say Avraham didn't have it, didn't Kai. What's his question? He was ready to give a drasha. So he had something to say. He wasn't just going to say, before Avraham kept the Torah before it was given, he made a Pidyon Haben. That's not a drasha. That's it, right? So there's certainly too short a drasha for Pidyon Haben. So what was he going to say? He must have had some. The Satmar Rebbe was a tremendous mefalpel. He could have made fun about the pilpul and the Litvish yeshivas, but he would. You look at his Sfarim, the Satmar Rebbe was a tremendous mefalpel. So what would he have said? What would he have said? So he came up with a tremendous pshat. It's 100% exactly what the Satmar Rebbe would have said. No shayla. He said Avraham kept Kol HaTorah Kula Kaidim before it was given. It's true. In Hilchas Pidyon Haben,